higher than Everest. Sometimes, even now, I awake in the night screaming as I relive in my dreams the misery of that wretched night. After a meal, which is better left undescribed, we crowded into one small tent to discuss further plans. The question was, what were we to do about Pong? Several suggestions were made, but none was both practical and humane. Johnson said that he and I had had Pong for 4 days, and it was somebody else's turn. Wish said that in principle he was entirely in agreement with this, but we must see how it worked in practice. We must, he said, assume that when we were split up, Pong would attach himself to the larger party. We were now 5. In the morning, 2 would move off together to establish Camp 3, leaving 3 at Camp 2. Pong would naturally stay with those 3. But shortly afterwards, one of the 3 would leave, either for Camp 3 or to return to Camp 1. Again, Pong would stay with the majority. Later on, the remaining 2 would split, so that Pong's sphere of influence would be reduced to 1. Isn't that rather hard on the last man? I asked. It's only for a short while, Wish assured me. We can change round later to suit circumstances. Is it agreed then? Constant and I glanced at each other doubtfully. But Shoot and Jungle said that it was a perfect scheme, and congratulated Wish on his masterly command of strategy. Congratulations, little boy, said Shoot. You'll be the first to go higher than Everest. Constant, whose nerve was beginning to go, went out to investigate. He came back trembling, with an ominous tale. Pong was crouched over a large stew pot, from which emerged indescribable odours. The ground in front of his tent was littered with empty food tins, and Constant had ascertained that their contents had been those special delicacies which we had chosen to attract the high-altitude palate. Thank you, Tashi. And when it appeared, the loathsome mess confirmed his forebodings. All our choicest tidbits had gone into Pong's awful pot. Our luscious breast of chicken, the tinned apricots, which we had so often tasted in anticipation, the sardines, the caviar, the lobster, the lovely Gruyere cheese, the pickled walnuts, the curry, the salmon, even the coffee and the chocolate biscuits. All these were reduced to nauseating brew, which might have sent Macbeth's witches shrieking from the place. The horrors of that meal were but a prelude. Vincent and I crept into our sleeping bags and awaited supper I prepared myself for the ordeal by thinking about Christian martyrs and reminding myself that Rum Doodle would hardly be worth climbing if it were no more than a pleasure trip. I lay for a long time, thinking about Pong's strange story. But at last, I roused myself. Where were the others? What should I do? A sharp twinge about the middle provided part of my answer. It was no use trying to pretend that I had no stomach ache. A friendly Pong was not likely to be any more acceptable as a cook than he had been before. My Dyspepsia tablets had run out. Unless help reached me soon, I was lost. I spent a restless night and rose unrested. Pong, when he brought my breakfast, was as inscrutable as ever, except that he allowed a powerful belch to escape him, a thing which had never occurred before. I wondered whether he had begun to take advantage of my sympathy. But I rebuked myself immediately for the uncharitable thought. So I put away my suspicions and tried to gather Pong and the others and my stomach ache and all the rest of my troubles into a single ecstasy. I will live, I cried, and fell flat on my face. I picked myself up and added a painful nose to my ecstasy. Aching with joy, I forced myself on and up, and step by step, the going became easier. I was thrilled to find myself climbing as I had not climbed for days. Had I found the secret of life and energy? The slope seemed barely perceptible. It was almost as though we were walking on level ground. I raised my head and looked around. We were on level ground! I walked on a few steps and bumped into so low it stopped. I stood still, regaining my breath, and looked ahead, wondering what obstacles might be waiting for us. Utter astonishment! There were no obstacles. We were on the summit! The second time on the expedition, I doubted my own sanity. Rum Doodle was 40,500 feet high. Unless my barometer and myself were mad, we were at 35,000 feet. Then I saw, over to the east, a magnificent mountain stood against the sky. Its glittering summit, 5,000 feet above me.
We had climbed